The name of the game is playing really, really good baseball in late May.
We have a motto here that, little things become big things. And if we can take care of those little things, I think we're gonna be all right.
We got to bring your expectations are high, and this is kind of what we're used to. This is how I was introduced to Middle Township basketball.
I miss being on the sidelines. I miss everything what high school football is all about. I think it's the greatest sport.
It's not a walk in the park going through our league.
And the message is simple. We want to win a state championship.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Cal 101 right here on Cape Atlantic Live. I'm your host, Nick Kosko, and with me today is Holy Spirit football head coach Andrew DiPasquale. Coach, great to talk to you again. I can't believe we're already talking about football. It's near the end of June already. We're gearing up for training camp and all the summer sessions. School is out, but school's going to be back in session when it comes to the fall. How are you, my man?
Good, man. Everything's good. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to get this season underway. Can't believe it's already here.
You're going into year number 3 as the head coach at Holy Spirit. 9-2 season last year. 18 wins in your first 2 seasons as head coach. Back-to-back playoff appearances. Got to the non-public B semifinals last year. Tough game against Red Bank, but it seems like everything is on the up and up for Holy Spirit. Just take me through the off-season preparation, coming off the playoff loss in the semis, and then just the overall preparation, kind of gearing up for maybe what could be another special run here in 2024.
Yeah, the past 2 years ended the same way. We lost in the semifinals to Red Bank Catholic both years. Really good football team. And that's what you're going to get when you get into the playoff football. You play those teams from up north. And it leaves a bad taste in our mouth. So we give the kids a week off right after the season, and then we get right back into the weight room 3 days a week. Ever since that first week of December, they've been 3 days a week every week. And now we're gearing up. They've had a great off season. The numbers in the weight room have been awesome. A lot of kids for us are multi-sport athletes, which I love. They come in, get their workout in, and then they go out in the winter, whether it's wrestling, basketball. In the spring, they come in and work out, and then it's either baseball or lacrosse. So a lot of athletes, not just football players. So it's a really good off season.
When you look at those off-season numbers that you're referring to, you're talking about just the sheer number of guys committed to the weight room, and also I would imagine their lifts in terms of numbers are going up as well. What was the off-season lifting program like for you guys?
Yeah, I think any and every high school coach does the same thing. It's just about getting consistent numbers in the weight room, not how much you squat, how much you bench, but getting consistent numbers in the weight room in terms of how many kids are in there each day. And once you start seeing that, I mean, we probably had, and like I said, a lot of our kids play multiple different sports. So we were averaging about 30 kids in the weight room every workout, which is a great number to have. The kids were committed to it. Even when they were playing other sports, they knew the first thing they had to do was come down to the weight room, because that Red Bank game last year showed those kids a lot. We had a lot of younger kids, but Red Bank was bigger and stronger and faster than us. And we knew a lot of that stuff gets taken care of in the off season in the weight room. So we really got after it this year.
When you talk about a team like Red Bank, again, very good non-public B program. They've been kind of the bugaboo over the past couple of years for you guys. Closer type game last year, 35-21 in that semifinal game. When you look at that, then you say the message, get a week off, kind of shake it off, and then we'll get back to it to prepare for next season. Is that your primary use of motivation? It's like, well, if we want to aspire to be that and be better than that, we have to, I guess, maybe not coach like that, but have that work ethic in the off season and make sure we're really putting that extra gear in during the winter time.
Yeah, I think a lot of it too is just understanding the level of play. I think the kids got a good taste of, and there's really good football in South Jersey, don't get me wrong. But that's the level of competition and the level you have to be at if you want to win a state championship. So those teams are not going to get any worse. If it's not Red Bank, it's going to be DePaul. If it's not DePaul, it's somebody else in our group. So it's not like the teams are going to get worse. They're only going to get better. So we need to elevate our game just to get to that point. And those kids know that. They knew after that Red Bank game where we needed to be and what we needed to do in the off season. And that's been the message all off season. I don't like losing. The kids don't like losing. And I don't want to lose to the same team over and over and over again. We want to win a state championship.
You mentioned before how you guys had a young team in 2023. And, of course, your first year, you guys were pretty young in 22 as well. But A lot of those guys are back again here for 2024, starting with Ty Kosko, quarterback, and he was very good for you guys last year. What have you seen as far as his development at the most important position?
Ty was awesome last year. I mean, he had a great competition in the summer last year, and we didn't want to overwhelm him. I mean, we were coming off of the year before having Sean Burns at quarterback, who really understood the offense, understood what we were doing. We could give him a little bit more freedom in the RPO game. And then with Ty last year coming in as a sophomore, his first time starting, we didn't want to overwhelm him too much. We didn't want to put too much on his plate with the RPO game. So we kind of knew as a coaching staff that some play calls we made were going to end up being wrong because we didn't want to put too much pressure on his plate and making decisions on the line of scrimmage. But each game throughout the season last year, he continued to get better and better. And that's all we wanted to see. And he really started to pick up the offense. And now this year we'll be able to do a little bit more with him in terms of things will start to slow down for him. He'll be able to read things a little bit better. He won't be as overwhelmed. And we can kind of get back into that RPO game as long as he can handle it.
When you talk about that RPO game, you got a stable of running backs back here this fall. Amir Hicks, Jasir Ward. It's a pretty much a two-headed monster, and of course we know how big Jasir Ward is. And even I don't think defensive linemen even really want to try to tackle that dude. So when you talk about those two guys in the backfield, what are the advantages you have? As you mentioned, the RPO game coming back into play, especially with Ty having a more comfortability factor with the offense. How do you balance that out now between the RPOs and obviously the passing game, but making sure both those guys in Hicks and Ward get their carries?
Yeah, I mean, they're two different style running backs, and we got a third one, Christian Searles, who was a little banged up last year. He just couldn't get healthy last year. And all three of them are completely different backs. I mean, you got Pops, Jasir Ward, who not many kids are going to want to tackle him for 4 quarters. I mean, the kid's 225, runs well. Amir Hicks is a smaller build kid, but he runs hard, man. And Christian Searles is just a kid that can take off and he can score from anywhere. So I think the one thing we struggled with last year was our passing game struggled a little bit last year. And with that, teams were able to load up the box, and it made the running game a lot more difficult. We can be successful in the RPO game. We can keep teams kind of guessing, and they can be wrong no matter what. If you want to load the box, that's the benefit of the RPO game. We can throw on you. You want to drop back in coverage, that's fine. We'll run the ball. So as long as our quarterback can understand the concepts of what we're trying to look for and what we're trying to do, we should be able to balance well between the run and the pass, and no matter which back's in. And that'll be a coaching thing as far as when we want to use certain backs. If we feel they're getting tired and we want to pop one off, or we want to wear a team down, we'll use a different back. So that'll all be a game plan thing.
When you talk about the passing game improvements, Ty Kosko, we just mentioned, making strides in the offseason. And then you look at Matthew Abbott, who's going to be a senior wide receiver for you guys, one of your leading wide receivers just last season. What have you seen from him? And I got to imagine he's going to be one of the bigger parts of the passing game and making sure, you find ways to get him open, or, maybe just rely on him to beat his man one-on-one.
Yeah, Matt Abbott's a little bit of a hybrid kid. He was a receiver all last year, and then we had our scrimmages. And like I was saying earlier, we realized we couldn't do some of the stuff we had done in years past. So we made an adjustment. We put him at tight end, and he was great. He bought right in, just an extension of the offensive line, but has the ability to run routes, can make plays, and we'll spread him out every once in a while, put him at a receiver spot. So he's really comfortable wherever. Great kid. He's going to do well. And then we bring back some receivers from last year who came in with Ryan Mallon, who started to really take off towards the end of the year. Taylor Cartwright, who plays both ways for us. And then we had a transfer, Emmanuel Garena, who came to us, and another good receiver who we're hoping we can have him make some plays as well.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the defensive side of the ball as well. But you guys have a lot of guys that do play both ways. That's the beauty of high school football, of course. But Nick Medina, one of my favorite guys to watch, linebacker, hard-hitting dude, and seems like he just has a nose for the football, as cliche as that sounds. What has his progress been like going into his senior year this coming fall? He must have been one of those guys who really just got after in the weight room and wherever the heck else he did in the winter and the spring.
He did. Medina had a great offseason. Once again, just a great kid, bought into whatever we asked him to do. I mean, he plays on the offensive line. He's the leader on our defense. He makes plays. I mean, the kid, he plays lacrosse in the spring, and if you ever get a chance to watch him play lacrosse, it looks just like football. He plays lacrosse like he plays linebacker. So I'm excited for him this year. He should have a really good year. And he's another kid that just works his butt off.
So looking at the schedule and the alignments this year within the West Jersey Football League, which, again, the super conference of the state of New Jersey, you guys are in the Constitution division this year. Hamilton, Atlantic City, Cedar Creek, Ocean City, some of your division opponents this year, and some of the teams you're going to see on the schedule. What do you make of the realignment this year? And, you're getting pretty much the cream of the crop, some of the cream of the crop of the old school Cape Atlantic teams there. Hamilton, always tough. Atlantic City has a lot of playmakers. And, of course, Cedar Creek, we know how good they've been as a Group 3 school for so long. And Ocean City seems like they're ready to bounce back pretty big here in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I absolutely love it. The past few years, I want to say 4 years, we've been in a division with Washington Township and Kingsway. And don't get me wrong, I love playing those teams. Those coaches do a great job. They're really good football games. But the issue with those games is there's only one bleacher that's filled. Our closest away game last year was an hour away. And I think that takes away from the beauty of high school sports, where these kids want to play in front of their friends, and especially kids that come to Holy Spirit. I mean, they're going against kids where when we play Ocean City, they're going against kids who they grew up with and played there. Same with Cedar Creek. And that, to me, is what high school sports is about. And people will fill up the stands. They get a chance to go to a game on Friday night, and they see two local teams. And I'm expecting that to happen when we play Ocean City. We play Cedar Creek. We haven't had a chance to do that in a while. So the kids are really excited for that. And it gets them the real high school feel where their friends are in the crowd. And it's a good Friday night. So I'm very excited for that. And then for our out-of-conference games, I mean, we want to play the best teams we can. Millville's been a great team the past few years. The prep's always good. We want to play those teams. We're playing Delsey. Just some teams. We want to play good teams, and we want to. That's as simple as it gets. We want to play the best we can.
You mentioned Millville. That's your Battle at the Beach game. A little bit different this year. Only one day at Ocean City, and the other 2 days are going to be at EHT. You guys do play them at EHT, if memory serves correctly here. What's that game going to be like? I know it's a bit of a different atmosphere. It's not the beach flair, but you're going to a place that's only right down the road. It's a big atmosphere as far as what the entire stadium can fill up. What's that game going to be like against Millville? And I think it was Cherokee a couple of years ago. Do you have that kind of that same type of feel with that opening game where you're playing one of these big Group 5 schools, Group 4 schools that are statewide known from South Jersey? What's that going to be like to open up the season?
Yeah, I mean, when the first day the kids found out we were playing Millville, they were very excited. It's going to be an awesome game. I mean, they have so much talent all across the board. They could pop off a play at any point and score from 85, 90 yards out. So, I mean, very good team, very fast, very explosive. To me, I don't care where we play. You put a football field down and we'll play no matter where it is. So the fact it's in EHT, which I think is a great venue for it, it's awesome. Little different than being on the beach. But like I said, you put a field down and we'll go play. And we're excited for that game. And I think that's going to be a great kickoff to the season. Two good teams that are ready to get after it.
I'm curious your take on this, because you just mentioned how it was earlier when you said there's a lot of great football in South Jersey, and that I think that's coming back to the forefront as far as when you look at the entire state as a whole for high school football. A couple of Division I kids already within the Cape Atlantic League area. You look at a guy like Lazier Brooks from Millville, who you guys are going to face. He's going to Alabama. He just committed. Sinai DeGraff from Atlantic City, who you also will see this year, another wide receiver. He's going to Rutgers. What do you make of the Division I talent influx once again? You probably have to go back to when the Meltons were at Cedar Creek and then a few others, but it seems like the Division I talent scouts are starting to come back to South Jersey, namely with Rutgers and Greg Schiano. But now even a school like Alabama saying, hey, this kid Lazier Brooks, he's probably one of the fastest guys in the country.
Yeah, I mean, very rarely do you see really the SEC level schools come up into South Jersey. I mean, you get a lot of Big Ten, things like that. You get Rutgers, Penn State, things like that. But when you start getting those SEC schools up here, which we've started to see a lot more, and same with some Pac-12 schools. I don't even know if it's the Pac-12 anymore. I don't know.
Probably the Pac-2 at this point.
Whatever it is. But you're starting to get some nationwide recognition from these kids that's well-deserved. There's not a doubt in my mind those kids that are getting these offers can play at that next level. You see the kid from Millville. I mean, he just flashes on film. I mean, he is a kid that just makes plays happen, and that's what those schools are looking at. And the social media aspect and all that has only helped the recruiting process as far as kids being seen, not just locally at camps they go to, but all across the country. I mean, coaches have access at their fingertips to look at film of whatever kid they're interested in. So as social media grows and continues to grow and becomes a major part of college recruiting, I think you're going to see more and more kids from this area start getting offers from places that you necessarily haven't seen recently. And like I said, football's always been pretty good in South Jersey. It's just a matter of people across the country seeing how good it is in South Jersey.
Andrew DiPasquale with me here on Cal One-on-One. A couple more for you. You mentioned the social media aspect of it. On the flip side, do you use that as a head coach and a staff to maybe get the kids on your roster that maybe weren't even thinking about playing college football because they said, well, there's not going to be many offers out there. But do you use that to your advantage as well to maybe say, hey, there's this FCS school at the Division I level, or maybe this bigger Division I school might see you now because of what we can provide for you from a digital space, even for the kids that might say, hey, this D2 or D3 school never would have saw me before, but now they can. Do you use that as a staff as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the kids, the more film you can put out there, the better. But it's game film. At the end of the day, if you can play, you can play. I mean, a lot of kids, unfortunately, you can't pass the eye test, which is one of the most important things in college football that there is. And you have zero control over that whatsoever. And when I say the eye test, I mean, if you're an offensive lineman and you're a great offensive lineman, but you're 5'10" and you're 200 pounds, I mean, there's nothing. It's just life. I mean, there's colleges have requirements. There's a whole nother world up there. But as far as D2, D3 are concerned, I tell the kids, if you want to play football at the next level, there's a place for you. It might not be at the Division I level. And at the end of the day, the level doesn't matter. Your goal should be, I want to come out of college with the least amount of debt as possible. And whether that's Division I, Division II, Division III, JUCO, whatever it is, if you want to go to college, nobody can just throw 70 grand around right now. So we want to help them get whatever they can. And for a lot of these kids, football is the way they can help get into college. So each kid has a different approach in how we handle it. And we handle each kid individually and talk to them. And I have conversations with them as far as what they want to do at the next level. If you don't want to play football at the next level, that's fine. I mean, we can give you the best 4 years here that you enjoyed. And if football is something you want to do at the next level, we'll tailor it and tell you where we think you should go as far as level wise, what we think and what you can do to help out. We have coaches reach out all the time via Twitter, X, whatever it's called. And that's really one of the major communications now between coaches of college level and high school level is through Twitter. I tell all their kids, you have to have it, but treat it like an unofficial resume. Anything you put on there, it's there forever. So treat your Twitter, your social medias like a resume because people are always checking it. And it's just the time we live in now.
I'll leave you here with this one. You go into year 3. This is your program. You've been around the school for such a long time, but now year 3 as head coach, the way you've been able to mold the program into your vision. When you mentioned how you just want state championships, you want to win, you hate losing. That's the answer anybody will give. That's what you guys are striving for that state championship. When you go into year 3 this year, is this the year you feel like you expect this is what I envisioned when I took over this job in year 1, where you had your bumps and bruises, you maybe had some things that happened that you did not expect, good or bad. Year 3 now, I got to feel like this is the pivotal year for you, your staff, and your entire program where like, this is what I envision and what I want moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, each season kind of takes a life of its own. Usually you like to think by year 3 or 4 of any new coach coming in is kind of when their implementations of whatever they want to do really start to take a front to what's going on. There wasn't too much of a change compared to when Coach Russo was here, things of that nature. The thing that's really different is these are the kids now in year 3 that you kind of really not grew up with, but have been with. It's kind of your core kids now of 3 years with these kids where they know what you expect. They know how practices run. They know how the weight room runs. It's not so much as teaching and then showing the norms. It's more so you guys know what to expect now. You guys know what to do. And the player-led teams are the best teams. And we got a bunch of guys now that understand expectations. They understand the standard. And when you can have a team and weight room, off season, all that stuff, anything that goes on led by players, and that's your goal. You want your players to take accountability, take ownership. Once you get to that point where they can do that, then you can really start having success as a team. And I think that's where we're starting to get, where these players are really starting to take ownership and buy in.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys can do on the field this fall. Sure to be an exciting season, loaded schedule, of course, playing some of the local teams again. And of course, going a little bit away from the county and going a little bit out west. It's going to be exciting, and hopefully another great playoff run for you guys. Coach, I really appreciate your time. Good luck this season, and enjoy the rest of the summer until training camp starts.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on. Good talking to you.
Absolutely. This is Cal one-on-one with Holy Spirit head coach Andrew DiPasquale. I'm Nick Kosko saying so long again in today's episode presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. Check us out on CapeAtlanticLive.com and, of course, Cape Atlantic Live on YouTube for all podcasts and live games.